Looks so weird there. There we go. Okay. All right. Welcome to Real Amigos. We got quite the show for you today. We got Ryan Leahy. We'll introduce him in a quick second. But later today, we're bringing Trey Serrano to come on. There was an article, salacious article written by a journalist in San Antonio about how dare these damn YouTube channels say negative things about cities. Can you believe that? So we're going to bring Trey Serrano on a little bit. But Ray. I just talked to Ray Ellen. Ryan's on here. Ryan, give us a quick intro who you are. Today, what we're going to do is talk about the cost of waiting. So he's got a really cool product that he'll bring on here, and we'll go over. And he's got quite a quick presentation that we'll look at. And it's a nice little calculator. If you're one of those people, it's like, hey, look, should I buy now? Should I not buy now? If you're on the fence, again, we're all realtors and lenders here. So, take that with a grain of salt. You got to do what's the best financial decision for you. We're not telling you what to do as far as buying or selling yet. If you are considering it, this is just information for you. Ryan, give us an intro for yourself, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Jeremy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Yeah. So, what I did is the biggest thing on everybody's mind right now is, should I buy now or wait? There's so much information out there. In my feed, whenever I open it up, it's a housing bubble, it's a housing crash, it's a great time to buy, it's a terrible time to, it's just, there's so much information out there. And so what I found though is, as I started peeling back the layers of the onion, the titles and the clickbait and the media seems to really have it wrong as far as what's happening here locally for real estate. And so what I found was a lot of our buyers, sellers, and just homeowners are really confused about really what's going on in the market. And so really helping them kind of really peel back layers of the onion on the clickbait that's out there, and then bringing it all local. And so that's what I did. So Jeremy, you want me to take it away? How do you want me to do this?
I think he's adjusting his camera right now, but
yeah,
you get this often, I'm assuming. People asking you about that?
I do.
Yeah.
It is definitely seems to be the number one question for agents. Like, I just think I'm going to wait. Well, if my question is, do you like to buy things on sale, or do you like to pay full price? And there is some definite good information out there that it could be a great time to buy for the right people.
Ryan, that's a pretty clever line. that's pretty clever. Do you want to pay full price, or you want a discount or a deal?
Yeah, I mean, or hey, do you want to pay over full price, which is what a lot of home buyers did over the last 3 years. It's phenomenal how the psychology shift has happened. And that's probably a whole nother show for another time.
Nice. Well, I got your presentation up here. Why don't you run through it real quick? And just so you're aware, Aaron says he is not buying until the Fed stops hiking rates.
So I think, Ryan, your presentation calculator is for him. We'll see if you can use it.
Aaron, I'll do one just for you, actually, partner. So we talked about this. So, one of the biggest things is what do we believe? And so if you look at just the title, the U.S. Navigating Pandemic Housing Bubble, the Fed chair says, will it pop or deflate? This one just came out on December 1st. And then you look at the picture. I find that so funny. The picture is, Chairman Powell almost in a praying position, almost kind of looking down a little bit. And this is just so typical of what media has. And then, because here's the problem with these types of clickbait is they're forming opinions because there's so many titles like this. It causes people to form opinions without actually getting the information, because very few people actually read the articles. They're cruising around, they see this, wow, will it pop or deflate? Well, to me, that's a question mark. So most people are going to say, I'm just going to wait until, does it pop or does it deflate? Well, let's kind of open up the article and look at it. This is that exact same article. First paragraph recognizes that, yeah, we absolutely had a unsustainable levels of appreciation and an overheating in the housing market. And then the second paragraph says, The nation is also grappling with long-term housing shortage that has helped fuel demand. Then it goes on to say in the third paragraph, and this is from Chairman Powell, but none of this really affects the longer run issue, which is we have a built up country and it's hard to get zoning and it's hard to get housing built in sufficient quantities to meet the public's demand. So when you originally read the title on the previous page, you might think, gosh, will it pop or deflate? Well, I think I'm going to wait. Then you open the article and it says from Chairman Powell, we have a housing shortage, not just in little pockets, but all over the country. And so when you have a housing shortage, houses are made up of supply and demand. That's what drives home prices. What is demand made up of? Demand is made up of supply of homes. Well, demand actually is made up of people and the number of jobs. And then, of course, our supply is our supply of homes. The fewer the supply of homes, the higher the prices are going to go. Really simple. Here's another slide from this day. This is from Harvard, released in the end of January of this year. And it says that the data indicates there's going to be a housing shortage based on the influx of the millennial population into the housing market until 2030. So when you have the folks that say, you know, I think I'm going to wait, well, I think the real question is, how long are you willing to wait? You know, where you're renting is 100% interest. And the other part about it is when you look at the top right of this slide, you look at the orange. This is what's really important. There's on average 4.7 million millennials turning the age 30, which seems to be their average home buying age, for the next 4 years. 4 years, 4.7 millennials. Now, that number doesn't have any power to it unless you know how many homes are we building, including multifamily, in the entire United States. And per the census.gov, that number is 1.7 million homes. 4.7 million home buyers, 1.7 new construction permits for the census.gov. That's a 3 million home shortage. I'd encourage everybody, if you want, Google national home shortage. You will find hundreds of articles.
You know, the one thing I do have to say here, I know everybody's saying this, and when we talked the other day, it's something I brought up. I don't think the problem is a shortage. I think it's a short of affordable housing. Now, what affordable housing means is going to be different between, you know, different people. But if you look on the market, if I were to look right now, just do a quick search of homes that are available under 200,000. Find my girls here. Come on, people. I'm gonna have to get you out of here. But there's not, like, if somebody's looking for like that 250 to 350,000 home that we used to have an abundance of years ago, we don't have that. So that's where I think I keep hearing a lot of people, you know, say this, like, oh, we don't have as many homes. Well, we don't have as many homes that people can actually afford to buy. And we're not building homes in the 350 price point or even in the 275 price point. I could tell you my first home buying in Austin was 275,000. And now it's, if I were to try to even find 275,000, I'm not even in Austin anymore. So I'll let you continue. I just wanted to bring that tidbit up.
No, absolutely. You are right. And people are not building, the builders are not building those entry-level homes. And it is challenging. But, you know, the reality is still we're not building enough units across the country in the right price points. You are right. And so then if somebody says, well, I'm just going to wait. Well, Gen Z on the bottom right is big. It's a bigger population than the millennials. The supply chain issue is not expected to fix its time anytime soon. And this is what Harvard has to say. So the other part about this, so I've been lending for 20 years. And there's two things that make up demand. One is population, and the other one is strength of job growth and jobs. And so let's first talk about the population. So I've done lending through the 2007, 8, and 9, Great Recession. I've lent through the 2011, 2014, some of the dips. And again, the biggest thing that you want to look at is where is the population going? So there's 21 counties in the entire United States. They're going to have the smallest amount of the correction. And Austin, Travis County, Williamson, Travis, and Hayes County has the second largest population growth in the entire United States. And the first population growth was the Dallas-Fort Worth area at 1.1 million. Williamson, Travis, and Hayes County was 899,000 over the last 10 years. Now, here's what's really interesting. Where do you think the media, a lot of the media companies and journalists, where do you think that they're headquartered and located and a lot of those journalists live?
That's definitely not in Austin, Texas, because I can tell you when what's their faces came out. Oh, geez, Bloomberg. Everybody had to come out. They're like, "Oh, we know all this stuff about Austin." I'm like, "Yeah, we'll come out and actually look." And they wrote a totally different article once they got out here. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is true. Most of it's in the Northeast, Chicago, DC, LA. Where are the most amount of people moved out of over the last 10 years? In the Northeast, Chicago, DC, and LA. So what you see here is while those journalists are writing it, that might actually be their reality. It might even be their friends and family's reality that home prices are actually coming down in a much bigger correction. But that is not what's happening here locally. And so we have to bring things back locally and really start looking at what's going on there. So we talk about population. Here's what the jobs are doing. This was released just 2 days ago. This is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics from the U.S. Department of Labor, released 2 days ago. The change in jobs from February 2020, which is pre-pandemic, to October 2022. Actually, Austin was the fifth largest, had the fifth highest percentage in change of jobs. We added 10.2% of jobs, but we were the number one largest city in the country that had the number one highest change of jobs, and we were number one. Also, we have more jobs now than we did in the pre-pandemic. So we have more jobs now. So our job economy has gotten much, much stronger through the pandemic, unlike many, many counties across the country. This study was done over 348 metropolitan areas. And so the other part about this is Austin has the second highest GDP, gross domestic product, which means we produce the second highest value in the entire country, only followed by San Francisco. So the Bay Area had the first highest GDP. So Austin and the MSA has the second highest GDP in the entire country. So why? Well, we have the 5 wealthiest companies in the world: Tesla, Amazon, Apple, Google, Facebook, Meta, excuse me. Now, here's what's really interesting. If people have been reading the news, how many of those have announced layoffs? Quite a few of them. I believe that Facebook announced they were going to lay off 11,000 people. Actually, the Austin Business Journal just recently released it. It's 222 were the Facebook employees in Austin that were actually getting let go. Amazon announced that they were going to lay off 9,000 people. It affects, I think, 138 was the number of people in Austin that were going to be laid off. Google announced that it was going to potentially lay off 10,000 people. It was less than, I know the head recruiter over at Google, and it was less than 300 people are getting laid off here in Austin. So you can't always rely on these big market data that's happening. So do you think that less than 1,000 people getting laid off in these big tech sectors is going to move the market? And the answer is no, it's definitely not. So we talk about a little bit of then and now. This is pretty interesting as well. So $500,000 then, which was during the pandemic, even as little short as 8 months ago. Jeremy, how much would it be common for a person to pay $600,000 for a $500,000 home over the last couple of years? Jeremy?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I had the smartest things in the world to say, and I was muted. Yeah, I mean, there was times when something that might have been listed at 500 was selling for 650. So yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So let's look at this. On the left-hand side, a $500,000 home, and you're putting 10% down in this scenario. You're putting $100,000 down plus closing costs. So your loan amount is $500,000 because you paid $600 for it. The interest rate was 3% with no points. 10% down does have mortgage insurance. Your total all in was $3,479. Your closing costs were higher because the sellers weren't paying title policy. Your total cash closed at $108. A $500,000 house now with 10% down. Jeremy, do you think is it realistic that a $500,000 house now will go for $475?
It potentially less, just depending on the area. I'm seeing stuff that'll list at, well, I mean, look, I had a friend who just listed a property out in Liberty Hill, and it had multiple offers. So yeah, I mean, potentially, yeah, 475. I would, it's possible for sure.
we're seeing if homes are priced right, there's definitely multiple offers, and that goes back to our job economy is so strong. And our apartments are actually over 90% occupied. 93% occupied is the average occupancy of apartment complexes in the MSA. But we are seeing $500,000 houses trade at 475 on a regular basis, depending if they're not priced right. And so today's interest rate was 5.99 with 1 point. Your total monthly payment, $35.84. That's $105 more a month in mortgage payment than it would have been had you bought a $500,000 house for $600 and put the $100,000 down. Your closing costs are a little bit less because the sellers are going to pay for the title policy and many times, and your cash to close is $52,000 less. There's also strategies called a 2-1 buy down, which actually makes the payment $32.12, which is $260 less, $267 less a month. There's just some great strategies out there to help people understand that, you know what, interest rates, while they are higher, do what Dave Ramsey says. Buy now, marry the house, and date the rate. Refinance. It's just the deal is you just have to find a house that's going to fit your budget right now. And that has to do with the psychological shift of, you know what, Jeremy, when you mentioned earlier, your first house in Austin was what, 275? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So my first house when I bought in Austin in 2003 was $133,000. It was for sure not my dream home. And so over the last several years, this generation of home buyers seems to have gotten spoiled with, hey, I'm just going to go buy the biggest home that I can, and I'm going to buy the best dream home that I can. And, sub 3% rates, you can do that. But how the rest of us bought homes and created our wealth that didn't buy over the last few years, I bought a $133,000 home. I lived in it for 10 years, fixed it up over 10 years, and sold it for $310,000. The next house I bought was $535,000. I lived there for 5 years and sold it for $735,000. And you keep moving up. This is the definition of a move-up buyer. And you start, and now I live in a home that I never in a million years thought I could afford because of the equity that I started trained 20 years ago. I've lived in 5 primary residences over 20 years. And so that's how this whole thing was designed to work. We almost pray that rates don't go down to 3% again, because what had to happen for it to go down to 3%? We had to have a global shutdown. And so, God forbid, something catastrophic would have to happen for rates to really go down. The reality is the longer you wait, the more expensive it gets. Why? Population is continuing to rise, particularly for the home buying population, for the millennials and Gen Z. And if you go all the way back to the 70s on the left-hand side, home ownership has outpaced inflation significantly throughout time. On the right-hand side, cumulative appreciation. If you just look at the pessimists from 2026, if you bought a $500,000 home today, if it just appreciated at 6%, which is far, far lower than what it has been in the past, over the 4-year average, 6% each year over 4 years, that $500,000 home would be worth $620,000 in 4 years. Let's just say it appreciated at 3% for 4 years. That $500,000 home is worth $560,000 in 4 years. So do you want to pay $60,000 more today or in 4 years or in 2 years? Do you want to pay $30,000 more? The reality is home prices continue to go up. Now, I always like to say, what are the big boys doing? Because the reality is we are all getting played. That's the reality. Because do you try to day trade real estate? The answer is no. Jeremy, do you know how long most people live in a house? What do you think?
About 6 years, 5 to 6 years.
He's exactly right. It's between 5 and 7 years most people live in a house. So should you be trying to day trade your home purchase? Should you really be trying to decide, I'm going to wait until the end of the year, or I'm going to wait until this? You're supposed to, and if you go back to Dave Ramsey, you buy the house that you can afford today, and then you refinance if an opportunity comes up. But here's what's really interesting. What are the big corporations doing? Blackstone, the wealthiest company in the world, they manage more than $10 trillion in assets. They already own $115 billion in single-family residences that they have been buying over the last few years. They just wrapped up in August a $50 billion fund. Now, here's what's to buy specifically real estate and single-family real estate. Here's what's interesting. At the very bottom, I want to point something out. So first off, it says real estate is arguably, residential real estate, first line, is arguably the most valuable and accessible segment of real estate asset class. And in the bottom, it says, in the event of a market downturn, Blackstone will have plenty of capital to scoop up some attractive real estate bargains. I'm going to ask you a question.
Your camera's down in your hands. Sorry.
Sorry, thank you. I was trying to read from my bigger screen. Thank you. I'm going to ask a question. Why is it a bargain when a corporation is buying it, when they're recommending the public to buy it, it's a bust, it's a crash, it's a whatever, but it's really good for companies to buy bargains, right? Why is for when people are looking to buy, oh my God, don't buy now, house prices are coming down, but it's a bargain for everybody else. JP Morgan, just 26 days ago, November 15th, just closed out a $1 billion fund to build and rent. Why are they doing this? Because they're looking at the same data I'm showing you. And they are, by the way, far smarter than we are. And so that's why you'll see I don't have anything in my presentation that is from me. This is all from people way smarter than us. And Blackstone, being the wealthiest company in the world, managing the most money in the world, is got analysts out the wazoo. So does JP Morgan. And this is where they are investing. And so we want to point this out. Now we have this, how to calculate the true cost of waiting. And for each one of you that would like to run through one of these scenarios, what we can do is you can shoot Jeremy an email, your email address, and I'll run one of these for each one of you. It doesn't matter how many, but we'll go through your purchase price, down payment, annual home appreciation. We can talk about that. We can pull up the stats, figure out what you think is accurate. But right now it's going to be around 3%. It says 6 at the moment, but we could adjust it down to between 3 and 4%. And so we go through this. On the right-hand side, we would work with somebody like Jeremy. And right now, a $500,000 home going for $475, that's a 95% list to purchase ratio. That interest rate today is at 5.99%. The reality is, by the way, 19% of the home buyers in Austin, Texas come from out-of-state buyers. They begin buying from January 1st to June 30th. Why? Because if you have a primary residence in a state without a state income tax, prior to June 30th, you do not have to pay the state income tax from the departing state that you're leaving. So January 1st through June 30th, home prices actually tighten up. So you're going to see the discounts start going away. So you're going to start paying full price. And if you're one of these really smart people that's going to wait until interest rates start dropping, guess what? You're not the only one that had that idea. And with apartment complexes being at 93% occupied, so is everybody else that's going to come out of the woodwork, and you will be paying full price. Very similar to the market, the seller's market that we just had, assuming that we don't have a big flux of inventory. This is what it looks like on a $500,000 home selling for $475. If on the blue, on the left, the purchase price goes up in the left graph. On the right graph, this is your down payment going up. And in the blue, your monthly payment is going up. Now, this is just as it's appreciating at 6%. There is, under all data, there is no indication that we are going to have any significant decline in home prices. We have the population, we have the strength of the job economy. So if you wait 3 months and interest rates do go up to 7 because they are going to raise rates on December 14th, by the way, at least a half a point, and rates hit 7%, your payment's $192 a month more. If you wait 9 months, your payment's $399 a month more. 12 months, rates start coming down a little bit, $389. And guess what? When you wait for interest rates to go down to 5.5, your payment is $344 a month more than it is today.
I think, one thing, not to cut you off, but one thing that I think to note is, you said the prices aren't coming down. There's going to be a lot of things coming out in the news very, very quickly that home prices are down X percent, X percent, X percent, and you'll start seeing them negative about 17%. And that's about to hit very soon. But what I think, to clarify what you're saying, is like right now the median price in Austin's around 555. I imagine the November numbers, and I'm the first one to tell you this, the November numbers will be the first numbers that come out that show a negative number. Now, what I'm saying is by the end of next year, if you're looking year over year, which is something we actually look at year over year, you're going to see by like June a negative 17%. And so you will see negative numbers next year, but that's a year over year number. I'm saying this. I'm one of the only realtors that's going to tell you right now that, and my video for next week is talking all about this topic, the fact that we will in fact see negative numbers for the first time in a very long time. But that's one thing compared to month over month negative numbers. So that's something I just want to clarify, that you will see negative numbers next year. Month over month is what you'll need to look at as far as, are they coming down even further?
Jeremy, you're absolutely right. And when I'm talking about, so home prices like falling off a cliff with a crash or a major correction, you are right. If you're buying a $500,000 house for $475, you're actually going to be affecting all of those percentages. But there's significant data to point that the opportunity to buy is here in the very near future, if not now. The true cost of waiting, we start looking at what's the equity position that you lose over time. And in the top portion of it, if you're buying a $500,000 house for $475, you just created a $25,000 net worth when that home does recoup its value. And homes are definitely, I'm going to ask, if anybody bought a home in the Great Recession of 2008, do you think they made any money, Jeremy, if they were selling their home today?
Yeah, I mean, typically, I'm trying to figure out Aaron's comment here. Let's do an honest calculation. 400K at 2.875 total cost to own is 600K, and 340K 20% drop at 6% is 734. The total cost to own went up 134%.
With this, we're assuming that they stay at a 6% and then the amortization never changes. Now, what a lot of realtors are saying online is, make sure that, when the rates drop, you refinance. The rates might not drop. Rates might go up. They may never drop below this point. We are hopeful that they will drop. But if they do, then it's not the full 134,000. And so that's how you
right. And that's a great point. If you're going to buy and hold for that many years, then yes, that number would then be correct. So what you're saying, so what Aaron's saying is correct. Yes. But what Ryan said, and it's very true, most people only hold 7 years or 6 years. So
the question here is, how many people didn't refinance when the rates dropped? Like that owned a house for more than, let's say, 4 years. How many of them did not refinance? Yeah, and I'm going to say it's mostly investors that have a really good rate.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, Ryan. Just some of these comments pop up. So.
Yeah, no, it's great, and I'm happy to run any of those. I can only see my presentation in the way that this presentation mode is, so I can't see the comments.
I put your email in the comments if people want to run a calculation with you.
I can run I've been doing this 21 years, and I have several different calculators that can run all kinds of scenarios, and we can talk about are the assumptions realistic or not. And so So here's the reality. There's some mortgage strategies for buyers that are really making a lot of sense, at least for conventional wisdom. If you follow Dave Ramsey, his big thing is buy the house that you can afford today and date the rate, meaning go ahead and refinance. The other one of the really popular items as well is called a 2-1 buy down, which the seller's your agent, like Jeremy's really good at negotiating things into the contracts. And in many cases, Jeremy can negotiate the seller to do some contributions. We can apply those contributions to buying down the rate in several different kinds of programs, with a permanent buy down or what's called a 2-1 buy down. This is a temporary buy down. We won't go into it necessarily, but what it is, if the rate today is 5.99, the first year interest rate, you subtract 2 points from 5.99. So 5.99 minus 2 is 3.99. So your first year interest rate is 3.99, which, by the way, if you bought a home at $500,000 loan at 3%, it ends up being about $260 a month cheaper for the first year. Second year is about $100 cheaper if you were comparing it to the then versus now. And that can make a lot of sense for you. In the event that you refinance, you actually receive the unused money back as a principal reduction. Another comment is, and when we talked about this, is really helping people understand move-up strategies. We do renovation loans that are also part of the main mortgage. So we can go off of loan to value. This is really, really huge if you're like, gosh, I wanted to buy a 500, but now I'm down to 375 or 425. Well, if you're working with your agent and you're like, God, this house just isn't there. I really want the kitchen remodeled and the bathroom remodeled. I want to add a pool. We can go off of the as completed loan to value and roll those things in. So another great opportunity to look at. And you would only have to put the conventional loan amount. It's got the standard conventional guidelines of 3%. So 3% down. And then you can now, as of January 1st, lend up to $726,200 loan amount with just 3% down. So that's also a really huge part about what you can do as some of the buyers and opportunities here. So you can send me a text with just your name and your email address. I can give you a call. This is my cell phone number. Hopefully I don't get trolled or signed up for something. So it's a texting service. And yeah, Jeremy, I appreciate you having me. These are some of the reasons that people use us. And we've got more than 225 5-star reviews online. And yeah, look forward to being of value.
Cool. I appreciate you jumping on, Aaron. Or sorry, Aaron. God, I'm reading the Aaron's comments on here. I appreciate you jumping on and going through this. I mean, I think it's important that people do their due diligence, right? If you're on the fence about buying a home and you're not really sure, I would definitely look into reaching out and getting the calculators that you need and get with a professional that really can help you figure out what is the best way. Again, on this channel, look, a lot of people get upset. A lot of people are angry right now in the media and everything. And that's why we're going to talk about Trey and what happened with Trey here recently. But a lot of people are angry. Prices are higher, right? Interest rates are higher, and people are very upset about all of these things. So I want to clarify one more time. No one on here is telling you to go buy a home, I think the most important thing is do a calculator, find out what your monthly mortgage is, and make sure you can actually make that payment. Aaron made a good point in here a bit ago. He said, date the rates. Date the rate does work. You can refinance as long as you can keep your job. It's a calculated risk, but a risk that you can't ignore. We've definitely pushed back on the marry the home, date the rate on this channel. I would definitely say make sure even Trey's putting in the comments 2-1 buy downs. So there are things that, Ryan's talking about that you can negotiate into a contract, 2-1 buy downs, 3-1 buy downs, maybe do a 10-year arm. I would just be careful that what the end of that 10-year arm or what the end of that 3-1 buy down is, and you're comfortable with that payment. So that would be my only thing for anybody looking to buy.
Jeremy, you're absolutely right. The reality is only buy what you can afford. Don't push it. Don't gamble with your primary residence. And so, yeah, couldn't agree with those comments.
Cool.
Totally agree with those comments.
Well, hey, again, I put Ryan's information. If you want to reach out to him and run one of those calculators or give him a call and ask him questions. Ryan, I really appreciate you jumping on, taking the time and showing us your calculator and going through your presentation, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Jeremy. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Bye. Okay, Aaron, what's up, man? Thank you for all the comments, man. I really appreciate that. Look, you got to take everything with kind of a grain of salt sometimes. And I think he had a lot of really good things to say, whether you agree or disagree with him. He did have some good points. All right. I got to my guy, Trey Serrano. You're back on here, man. So Trey Serrano,
Real amigos.
I'm going to put up the article in a second here. So I'm going to put up the article here in a second, but tell us what happened. And then I'm going to put up the article after it. Sorry, I'm trying to read too many things at once. All right, back up. Here we go. All right. Tell us what happened. how it happened, because you told me the story Sunday. We knew this article was going to come out, and then we'll talk about the article. Go ahead, man.
Perfect. So I got an email from the San Antonio Express News, and it was just a email, and it said, realtors throwing out San Antonio's dirty laundry. So, of course, I'm driving. I tell my wife, and she reads the message while I'm driving. Basically, this reporter is saying that San Antonio YouTubers are throwing out the city's dirty laundry, and he demands to know why. So, of course, how ludicrous this sounds, I called him right away. And I said, hey, man, what's the deal? Like, what do you need? Can I help you? Do you want to buy a house? And he said, absolutely not. He was very snarky with me, very sarcastic. And he said, why are you putting this information out? Why are you playing the news anchor? Why are you giving people this information? Why are you telling people not to move here and telling them why? So I simply answered, I want to give information that is not popular, that is not something the locals really want you to know, but it's honest information. And I'm using the locals and the news articles that you guys publish to show people that have the interest in moving to San Antonio. And he didn't like that very much. He said, well, what does that do for you, Mr. Realtor? And I simply said, it educates my future client. If they decide to buy in San Antonio, great. If they don't decide to buy in San Antonio, I just saved them a crap load of time in moving down here by telling them exactly what goes on in exact areas, because 12 years ago when I moved here, there was no information on YouTube. There was no information. Google search was like, hey, look at this pretty tourist stuff. And that's it. So he said, I'll let you take it away, Jeremy. And what's up, Ian?
So the article dropped today, and the first thing I get is a text from Trey. Hey, look, real estate agents on YouTube have called San Antonio the worst city in the U.S. So Trey, I would tell you that's probably not good advice if you want to sell to clients. If you said, but I don't think you were the one that said it's the worst city. There's a couple of clips in here that I really, really thought were good. Now, I read this full article, and I don't think he was. I don't think it was as bad on you and some of the agents as I thought it was going to be. It actually seemed a little bit nicer, but there were a couple of things in here that really made me chuckle. So I'll start at the beginning. It says, in a recent YouTube video, real estate agent Trey Serrano stood before a green screen of brick house with blue door behind him. I love how they have to tell you like your background, like who gives a shit what your background is, behind him with a line of police tape and stretched across the entire screen.
Hold on. That's intentional, right? So when you're searching, you got Trey, former police officer, the door was blue, and there's police tape. Like they know what they're doing there.
Yeah.
There's no relative reason to say that, but it makes sense for the algorithms.
Yeah. Everybody talks about how great San Antonio is. Even I talk about it. Said Serrano. So he's even saying that you talk about how great it is. So stupid. Yeah. A former paramedic and San Antonio Police Department officer who now leads the Cavalry Group with over 15,000 views. The video with over 15,000 views. You're getting a lot more views than that, my buddy. You're getting over 100,000 views a month right now. This guy, if you're not following Trey's channel, look up Mr. Spicy, Dinosaur D. Okay. But you need to know the worst, Trey said, or Toronto. I'm going to just say Trey every time I read Serrano. I'm going to eat you like a pepper, man. Often overlooked. Often overlooked compared to other major cities in Texas. San Antonio is one of the fastest growing metros in the United States. Real estate agents and other content creator. Anyway, the one thing I love that he said in here, and I want to get to this, he said something about the agents were being snarky.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a second, like you were the one being snarky. And the way this reads to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, but the way this reads to me is basically what you said at the jump, which was, hey, you are now becoming the news anchor and you don't have the right to be the news anchor. And that's how it read in the entire piece.
He just said, stay in your lane.
Yeah.
That's what he just said.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's just, I think people are getting fed up with these news articles because literally the top of the article, the part where you don't have to pay for to read the article says, San Antonio YouTubers say San Antonio is literally the worst city in the United States, in America, whatever they said. And then to actually read what the details were, you have to pay for the subscription. Like that is the most switch and bait that I can ever think of. So I subscribed to the San Antonio Express News. And when I read the article, just like you said, Jeremy, I couldn't believe that he was basically saying, oh, well, these YouTubers are saying the pros are living here and the cons are living here. And they're actually trying to convince you of the bad things in San Antonio so you can make a decision. So
go ahead.
I was going to say one of the lines in there, and you tell me how accurate this is, says, you might be sitting in your living room having rattlesnakes and scorpions racing toward you. And I'm thinking, why are they highlighting this information? Nobody believes that, do they?
Yeah, I don't know where they actually, that was taken from like a travel vlogger. So you have one guy that has a camera that lived in San Antonio for a couple days a week. And it's now quoted as part of, I guess, living here. Pros and cons. I don't know.
Yeah, 601 Travel's YouTube channel indicated that there are more critters, scorpions, rattlesnakes in San Antonio than people, which there probably are. Like,
but you know, I looked at the Express News, their Instagram, and most of the people were like, "Good. I hope these YouTubers tell everybody how bad the city is because people need to stop moving here." That was 90% of the comments on Instagram. And then on Facebook, it was like, Express News, this is bait. This is so baity. Man, can't you think of anything else? You know, just, it was awesome to see the comments from the public.
Did you sign up for breaking news alerts like this one?
I did not.
Yeah, I mean, it tells you right here, sign up for breaking news alerts. I don't know where this is breaking news or even relevant. So the title, let's fix this title, everybody. Let's fix this title. You real estate YouTubers give honest take on one of America's fastest growing cities. Boom, fixed it. All right, we're done.
That won't get as many clicks, man.
Not as many clicks.
Actually, that's not true. You've seen honest reviews? That channel?
He says, I've been in Texas for 4 years now, never seen a Republican. Oh, that's funny. Oh, man, sorry. Dan Cox usually has good things to say. Haven't seen a snake, seen plenty of scorpions. My old man uses UV light to hunt for them at night. I wouldn't even do that. That sounds like so much. I mean, is that fun? Would you do that? I don't know. That's fun.
I mean, someone hunts hogs from a helicopter. I mean, it's about the same level of fun, right?
That is definitely not as fun as hunting a hog from a helicopter, I'll tell you. First-hand
experience. So one thing I want to get your take on, guys, since we're here, is on my video on my YouTube channel, the foreigners are causing a San Antonio housing crash. Okay. I literally said foreigners are causing a housing crash, and I'm not mistaken because anybody that's not living in San Antonio to me is a foreigner. So the number one city and county that people are moving into San Antonio is Austin, Texas. Why is that?
Look, let's be honest. One of the questions on here, P. Cruz says, so tell me what's good about San Antonio. I'll tell you this. I'll be honest with you. San Antonio is cheaper than Austin. San Antonio actually has some pretty decent food.
Better tacos.
I wouldn't go that far. They have some pretty decent food. They have a few attractions that are pretty nice, and that's it. There you go. Nail it. Video over.
So we have the biggest tech industry boom. We have Elon being the largest renter now in San Antonio. We have manufacturing jobs. We have a slightly higher paid overall job growth. And it's just very, very cheap to live. Median house price right now today is $325,000. And there's lots of areas that are underdeveloped.
Now, are you talking San Antonio proper or suburbs?
That is San Antonio proper. Yep.
Well, speaking of your wrong one. Speaking of your boy Elon Musk, there are people that are very unhappy with him, and it must be a slow news day because the only thing I saw in the news today on Austin Business Journal. Pull it up. Is Elon Musk is really bad for building in Bastrop, and his neighbors are really mad at him. There was literally 4 articles. I'll pull it up. So your boy Elon, he is just awful, is what they say. He's mean.
The big bad wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they said that same thing about Samsung coming. They said that same thing about Amazon. They say that about any large corporation if that person has a lot of land and a corporation moves next to them. Like, that's always the story.
So one of the buzz rumors, I have no idea if it's true. Hopefully I don't get in trouble, but they said that Elon may move Twitter to San Antonio because there's a old mall that is now converted to Rackspace. Rackspace is selling it, and there's rumors that Elon's going to buy it to move Twitter. So he'll have the San Antonio-Austin corridor closed in a couple of years.
Man, if only there was a tunnel that he had that connected the two, you know?
He did. Well, he proposed it to City Council in San Antonio, and City Council said, that's not really our priority right now.
Okay. Well, you know, Aaron, I sorry, I didn't miss it, Aaron. I'm trying to do 18 things at once here. You got to moderate, talk, listen to Trey talk about how the media was so mean to him today. Just kidding. I love you, dude.
Yeah, man. It's
Mr. Spicy, as you're called. I didn't know that. Can we please legalize gambling? This is one of my beefs with Texas. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I would love to see Dave Portnoy come out here and do more pizza reviews because they're doing gambling out here. That'd be pretty fun. But anyway, go ahead.
No, that's all I had.
That's all he had. That's all he had, everybody. That and Elon is big meanie face. Big meanie. What is Musk's boring company doing? Like, I mean, like, it was crazy how many articles I saw today that were about Elon and Austin. It's like, hey, we're so excited you're moving here, but you're actually like doing things now. So, don't do that. Get out of here.
Again, it's just because he's trending, and I think we talked about this even on this channel, where once you don't have the politics or the interest rates, what else? You have what are people doing in the area, and this guy's trending a lot. So it's easy clickbait.
Yeah, it really must be slow for the news because they're not really putting out some even information that is being recycled. It's not even good.
You know, it's interesting. So I'm doing a couple of videos about, there was a couple articles. Let's see if I have them on here.
You know what they need?
This one.
A quality of taco calculator. That's true. What we need, and we need to bring it to San Antonio.
There is a quality of taco calculator on my website.
Not Mr. Spicy. We need a real one.
So Trey, I had some Houstonians here today. You'll know one by name, Katie Day, and they said that the tacos over at Cosmic Coffee at Viejo Taco were way better than anything you had ever had them go to in San Antonio. So that's what they said. I mean, maybe I'm misremembering their words, but that's what I thought I heard them say.
Those tacos were not good. Not at all.
You're out of control, man. You're out of control. I'm going to have to kick you off this channel, man. You're never coming back. All right. Vote if you never want to see Trey back on this channel because he's a big liar and a big meanie face on YouTube. Now, I appreciate you. All right. That's all I really had today. I wanted to bring Ryan on and go over his calculator. He'd been not bothering me, but reaching out to me about it. And I saw this article about Trey. I didn't want to really do a long Real Amigos. If you have ideas and if you want us to talk about some other things, definitely drop in the comments. A lot of these videos that I do take a long time to come up with the content, the information, to be accurate. And then people get angry in the comments and tell me that all I want to do is sell homes. All right, whatever. But yeah, if you want to hear some good information or you want something, drop it in the comments. I saw somebody kept writing about Wolf Ranch. Maybe I'll do a video about Wolf Ranch. Trey, you have the last word, my friend.
Hold on. Let me answer Aaron because he's standing up for me. I need people to stand up for me. So thank you, Aaron. After I give him a little I'll give you some closing words. Okay. I love Tesla, but hate Elon. The boring company is such a bad idea. I don't disagree. So, man, I just want to close it with this. I just think that what we're seeing here in San Antonio is nothing but growth. Like, I'm not trying to be a salesperson. Obviously, the news called me out, basically saying that I'm like too real with information, but it's very interesting to see what's going to happen. I mean, I don't see any like bigger boom. That's what's going to happen from San Antonio, Austin, New Braunfels, St. Hedwig. Like, pay attention to these towns, pay attention to these businesses. And the transportation system in San Antonio is not the best. I talk about it a lot on my channel, and it's something that I think Elon is going to tap into, and I think he sees it, and he just isn't releasing the information yet. So I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, man. One thing to note, the runoff race for mayor is next Tuesday, the 13th. Is that right, Ian? 13th? 13th. So if you want to vote for a new mayor, I would recommend you go out and at least have your voice heard, hopefully. But there you go, Ian. Last word for you.
Dude, I had a ton of words, but Ryan kept saying, Jeremy, 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 Jeremy.
Oh,
Like, hey.
Yeah,
Anybody.
he forgot you were there.
Yeah, I know. I think the one thing I want people to look at is just paying attention to the large corporations buying rental homes. I think that's just something to keep in mind. And I think we should table that and have a conversation about that in the future. I know we've touched on it a little bit, but I think that's a big one to watch.
Ian, next time we're going to talk about all the new neighborhoods and developments. We were actually going to talk about that today, but Ryan came on. So Boring Company needs to build underground parking at Cosmic Coffee. I definitely agree. I was there today, and it was
zero parking.
Still pretty brutal. The market will cover. Just hold on. Everyone needs to settle down. I agree. I mean, that should be the next video, but then people don't watch that because it's too nice. So, all right, everybody. Thanks, Trey. Ian, maybe you'll be able to talk in the next video. We'll see you soon.
We'll see.
Appreciate everybody.